Welcome to Take 10, the podcast where we spend an intentional 10 minutes to inspire, encourage, and motivate our leaders who listen. Along with Cameron Corder, I'm your host, Jasmine Bullard, and we are so glad that you're here. Tom, I'm going to introduce you. Tom is our guest, and he knows a thing or two about leadership, a nonprofit powerhouse, 40 plus years of experience, author, coach, speaker. He brings it all. He brings a lot of wisdom, clarity, and passion for helping leaders grow from the inside out. So we're so excited that you're here to join us today.
Thank you, Jeff.
Whether you're on your way to work or whatever brings you to us, we're glad that you're listening. So we're going to jump right in with our first question. How do we help ensure that our YMCAs are relevant, and how do we sustain that relevancy?
Relevancy is a great word. I believe an institution like the Y, 175 years, there's a reason we have sustained it. It's because we've constantly been relevant. As you get older, you appreciate history. I can track our history as a way of staying relevant. Like, for instance, in the 1960s, the biggest programs in the YMCA were something called the Forefront programs. It was Gray Y. First it was Y Indian Guides, Gray Y. Then we had a sort of an unfortunate name for our teen program called High Y. It was the 60s, who knew? But that was our biggest programs. And what we were doing, we were following the boomers through. And when the boomers went off to college and put on that freshman 15, what did we say? Fitness. So we became fitness experts. In the 80s, when they started having kids, we said childcare. 1981, the National YMCA Childcare Conference was in my office. There were 3 of us. How about that? And so we've evolved. We stay relevant. And I think the way we do that is we understand mission and we understand market are both important terms. There's mission and there's market. Now, a cautionary tale is sometimes we lead with mission to the market. I propose we go the other way. We understand the market and then come back to the YMCA and understand what we can do for that market. And that keeps us relevant. I had the great fortune about 15 years ago to spend a day with Jim Collins, arguably the best author of our time, business author of our times and researcher. And I asked him, I spent a whole day with him. At the end of the day, I said, what's the most important thing? He said, figure out what your core is. And it's probably smaller than you think. Never change it. Change everything else. And we've been willing to do that in the Y. We've built hotels, we've built swimming pools. So relevant is a big, big word. And for the future, I'd say understand your market and then come back to the mission and say, what can we do for them?
I love that.
Yeah, Tom. So, and you and I have discussed and kind of prepping for this and kind of for a while like mine, but sometimes you feel like you're good, just Jim Collins, good to great. You reference that. Where's the starting point for somebody listening today? Where's the starting point?
Easy. That's a really great question because it can seem overwhelming, but it's really not. Listen to those people far from us. Now, how about that? Who do we listen to? We listen to staff a lot. We love our staff. We might listen to the board some. They're out in the community. And we listen to our members, and we listen to those people who are already with us and love us. And we should do that. That helps you get to good. But to get to great, listen closely to those not with us. You can do it formally in perception studies, but just find a way to listen to people who are not a part of the Y, could give us insights into why they're not. That's a big, big deal to say, we're great, the Y is great, but how do we stay relevant? Listening to those people on the outside inform us. Another great one is, I work with a lot of Ys and we have these community forums. It's very simple. Again, this sounds fancy, but call the mayor and ask them to come sit with you for an hour. Maybe you and a couple of board members, right? Call the head of the local health department, call the superintendent of schools, call the police chief and say, what do we not know? What are we not doing? How can we better understand our community? Simple, costs very little. Plus, guess what all those people do? They leave saying, that YMCA is up to something. They're listening to the community and not just those we serve.
Yeah. So, and those are a couple of good examples. I want you to build on that a little bit. So some of the market that's listening to this, the small YMCA, the independent Y, the CEO that's wearing about 12 hats, what's another example? And oftentimes, like in our communities, that school superintendent's on our board.
Yeah.
Sometimes the mayor is engaged, but give us another practical example of somebody far from us that
Yeah.
we could reach out to.
Yeah. By the way, I like that what you said about the board. I think we've evolved where we're less, we engage our boards less. Boards do governance, of course, but I like what you said. Board people are out living in the community, and they're a good first source. But the people that are not close to us, um, again, I think a great place to get those family voices are through schools, through understanding what the schools are doing. Because think about it, a school has to serve the whole community across every economic line, racial line, everything. So they can be a voice. What are the schools' sense? Some of the best of these sessions were school superintendents, but even like school counselors telling us,
Yeah.
this is what's going on in my school. And then you say, is there something the Y could do? Not that we can fix everything. I'll talk about that later. The word that, I don't know if that's me or you. I mean, I'm so sorry. I got it
You're
turned on.
good. That's a good.
But the schools have to serve everybody, and there are a lot oftentimes people we don't know. But again, we only say this is what our mission can deliver on that, not everything they need.
Yeah. No, I love that. We had a recent meeting with some guidance counselors, and that provided very
Yes.
fruitful. So I love that you're talking about that it's principals, it's guidance counselors, maybe even some of the next level school administration. Not that the superintendents don't know, but sometimes to learn about my why, the people on the ground floor know a lot more than I do. So if you want to know about our why, you got to ask them. So
Quick example of the YMCA of Wichita, nice Y. We invited the school counselors and the school nurse and a few people like that, like you said, in, and they told us what was happening in families in their community, many of whom are not connected to the Y. And then as a Y, we get to say, how does our mission reach those people?
yeah, that's great.
Mm. So, kind of leaning in a new direction, but still off that because I loved what you said about knowing your core, but being able to look out further
Yeah.
than just what's right in front of you. So Cam and I are always talking about, the day-to-day grind, and sometimes that's all that's right in front of you is the busy work, the day-to-day work. So just wondering what advice you might have for young Y leaders to obviously avoid burnout because the day-to-day work, but just like being able for them to look out and see the bigger picture more than just their day-to-day.
Okay, you ready? I can sum it in a really one word. This is kind of my mantra. No. It's the word most YMCA leaders don't know. You have to say no. It's so exciting to talk about all the things you want to do and can do. But I'm just curious, Jasmine and Cameron, do you guys have unlimited time, energy, and money? No, most people don't. The only way to not burn out is to learn how to say no. People talk about, I do a lot of strategic planning, and you like to talk about what you're going to do. Equally as important is what you're not going to do. As a consultant, you hear consultants recommend books, and I don't really do this, but there is one that I recommend that every Y leader read, and it's called The Four Disciplines of Execution. And what they call the day-to-day grind is called a whirlwind. And then that what it feels
Yeah.
like if you're at the front desk, it's like a whirlwind. If you don't have planted in your mind the things you're going to say yes to and the things you say no to, you will burn out. By the
Mhm.
way, saying yes to one thing is saying no to something else. We might say, oh, I like to say yes. Well, you just said no to something else unless you have unlimited time. I hope on my tombstone it says he taught us how to say no. That's what I want. We've got to say no to some good things so we can say yes to the great things. YMCA's are notorious for having 12 objectives or 10. Listen, if a strategic plan has more than 2 or 3 points, I just lose interest because you're not going to do it. Again, Four Disciplines of Execution, read it. And they have the research that proves organizations that have more goals actually achieve less than those that have fewer goals. And what that translates to, that's the organizational part. But as a person, this sense of being overwhelmed will burn you out. It will burn you out. So we have to have healthy boundaries and just say no.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, by
I
the way,
like.
Cameron, and you know this, why a lot of why people can't say no is every program, every idea has a constituency. And it may be just 10, but you want to get people stirred up, change the temperature of the water in the swimming pool, right? There'll be a constituency that yells loud, and that's who you listen to. But we've got to resist that urge and say no more often.
Yeah, it's racquetball players and
That's yeah. Swim teams, racquetball.
lap swimmers. Yeah, they want
Noon basketball. For those that don't know, I literally grew up in the Y. My first memories, when my mom passed away, I found in her keepsakes my minnow patch. Now it'll take the old timers to remember what that was, but she literally saved my. I grew up in the Y, so if it sounds like I'm an insider, I really am.
That's great. Where did you grow up? What Y?
Warren, Arkansas, town of 6,000 people. It's one of the finest Ys you'll ever go. It's a little dot on the map in southeast Arkansas, but it was the hub of the community. Everything happened at the Y.
As we get ready to hit the 10-minute break mark, is it Woo Pig Soup? What do you say?
Yeah, Woo Pig Suey. Come on, get that right.
Come on, say it for everybody right, like you're at a game.
I can't, but it's kind of Woo Pig Suey with gusto. That's how it is.
That's
I'm a
great.
Razorback, yeah.
That's so good. That's a great
Perfect.
10-minute mark. And so we'll come back for part 2 with Tom Massey.